Okay, so once again, good day everyone. So our topic for today is inputs to data mining and installation of Orange data mining. Okay, so again, when we say input, no, we have different inputs actually, especially the input model. No, so to provide the desired values, the necessary data must be identified in a data warehouse. So this involves designating the database, selecting the required tables, joining them to combine the information, defining levels of entities, and ordering them in hierarchies. So most of the time, the mining analyst is not familiar with the low-level database design. Therefore, this task is typically done by the data warehouse administrator. If a cubing services cube model of the data warehouse exists, no, we have cubing services cube model, no, it can be imported and serves as input model for the profile definition. Alternatively, the warehouse administrator can define an input model that is immediately based on a database. So typically, the warehouse administrator who defines the input model is different from the mining analyst, no, who defines the profile. Okay, then therefore, it is useful to assign meaningful names in description to the entities in the input model. Let's say, for example, warehouse administrator might want to assign descriptive names to tables and columns so that the mining analyst can more easily understand their semantics and use them. Let's say, for example, for table selection, to forecast sales for individual stores, the warehouse administrator select different tables and assign meaningful names. For the table joins, on the canvas of Design Studio, if you are familiar with the canvas, no, the selected table must be joined to relate the data. So joining table results in the definition of a single logical input table. And for the hierarchies, no, typically data includes different dimension that can include hierarchies. Now, data preparation in mining process is very important, no? Actually, what I wanted to share to you is about the regarding the IBM, no, IBM framework, no. So in IBM, we have the data preparation in the mining process. So a typical mining project undergoes several phases, no, because same as what we did, let's say, for example, if we wanted to develop a software, we need to use, let's say, for example, during our previous, let's say, if you are already finished with your system analysis and design, we are encouraged to use agile development, no, instead of a waterfall model, no. So these phases are described in detail in the cross-industry standard process of data mining, yung CRISP-DM. Again, ang if ever, let's say, for example, in software development, we are using waterfall, no, we are using agile, we are using what else, fishbone analysis, and so on and so forth. So in data mining, most commonly it detailed in the cross-industry standard process of data mining. And in, let's say, for example, in testing, we commonly use ISO 9126 like FARPS, no? Functionality, usability, reusability, and so on and so forth. Now, in a nutshell, the project life cycle of data mining project according to CRISP-DM, again, what is CRISP-DM? Cross-industry standard process for data mining. So, the project life cycle of data mining according to CRISP-DM includes the following phases. Number one, we need to understand the business. Even in software development, especially if we have client, what we are going to do first is to understand the business, no, the present process, the available software at present. Because let's say, for example, if we wanted not to migrate one database to another, let's say from Microsoft Excel to Microsoft to MySQL or MS SQL, or from MySQL to Oracle, no, So it is very important for us to understand and to know what are the available running software or available software in our client, no? So we need to identify the business goals and to determine how to measure success. Number 2 is data understanding. So to select relevant data and to understand this data, this means to understand the semantics of tables and columns and to know how the data distributions. Because let's say, for example, you were using last name, first name, middle name. But there are certain cases, some other company using last name, first name, middle initial. Or there is some company using first name, middle name, last name. It should depend. So you need to understand all the tables and columns available. No? What are the exact field, no, used by this database, okay, or available in all databases. Another thing is, of course, the idea behind, of course, is to know the data distributions. Another is the data preparation. So the data preparation, we need to cleanse the selected data to transform it. Let's say, for example, by joining and by aggregation so that it is suitable for data mining analysis. Now, another is modeling to run the data mining algorithms. Let's say, for example, we are using decision tree or any other different algorithms. Another one is evaluation, to look at mining models, understand influencing factors, and assess model accuracy. And the deployment, the last will be the deployment. So to score this means to apply the data mining model to the new data. So if you want to have an additional input related to what I mentioned, you just simply visit http://www.crisp-dm.org. I will send to you the link. No, if you want to have an additional input related to what I mentioned, this will be the link. This will be actually IBM framework, no? This done through by IBM, no? So although if you try to check our course outline, most commonly it also covered the mathematical, no? More on modeling in mathematics, no? The CRISP-DM, no? Modeling is mathematically the most complicated step in the mining process. Data preparation usually requires most effort in data mining project. According to experience, no, about 40 to 70% of the time in data mining project is needed for data preparation. So imagine that. This is seen by many as major pain point. No, also it frequently slow down data mining projects. So one of the reasons for the high effort is the wide set of skills that is necessary to perform this task. On the other hand, deep knowledge about the database design and about the SQL language or is a structured query language is needed. If the ETL, no, tooling is used, in-depth knowledge of the ETL tool is also required. No? On the other hand, the definition of the right transformation requires knowledge about the semantics of the data and their relations, no, to the business scenario. So, again, the definition of the right information or transformation requires knowledge about the semantics of the data and their relation to the business scenario. However, even if even experienced, no, mining analysts need a lot of time to write structured query language code or configure the ETL operators. So as a sequence or even as a consequence, the data preparation task is performed joint by a data warehouse administrator and a data mining analyst. This give rise to another problem because the delay due to communication overhead between the people involved. So, let's say for example, for data preparation steps. So, data preparation start at the end of the data understanding phase when the irrelevant data is understood and its content is known. For the business scenario, we need to forecast. Now, forecasting sales for individual stores. We need to consider the business problem of forecasting sales for individual store. The input model, of course, is to provide the desired value. So, the necessary input data must be identified in a data warehouse. And this involves designating the database, selecting the required tables, joining them to combine the information, defining level of entities, and ordering them in hierarchies. For the profile, when an input model is available, the mining analyst can put together the required data for the analysis of the particular business problem, because all entities that are available in the input model can be used, in particular the columns and the hierarchy levels. And in preparing data for mining, you can prepare data for mining by specifying input models that describe the data to be analyzed and by defining profiles that describe the data transformation. And you can also import cubing services models. And these models already contain the complete structure from the cube model, including information about dimension, attributes, and measures. Okay. Now, a while ago, I've mentioned that there are some available studio. Let's say, for example, mining in the design studio. So, application developers and data warehousing or data mining specialists can use the Eclipse-based database to warehouse design studio for all phases of data mining projects. Okay. I think that you're already finished with your information management and database system. Now, again, I hope that you will be able to look some video presentations related on Eclipse-based database to warehouse design studio. Okay, let's say, for example, if you are using Eclipse-based data understanding in pre-processing, this will be the first step in mining project, to consolidate the data to be analyzed into a data mart and to transform it into the required format of the data mining algorithms. Then after that, model creation and visualization. So with the mining editor, you can create and running mining flows. Later refine them to match your quality requirements with the intelligent miner visualizer, and you can explore the mining models. This is also available in Eclipse, no, Db2. Now, how about the scoring new data? After you created a data mining model, you can apply this model to new data. So you can also apply this model to data that you have used to create a model. Let's say, for example, you can use a clustering mining model that defines a customer segmentation to score new customers to determine the best cluster or segment for each new customers. Now, after the scoring new data, we need to deploy or deployment of automated or integrated mining tasks. So you can achieve the highest business value if you integrate mining results into your daily business operations to achieve actionable results. Right after deployment, we need to set up our database, because before you can explore the data in one of the databases in Data Source Explorer under Eclipse, you must establish a connection to a database. You can create new database connection, or you can connect to an existing database by right-clicking a database and selecting connect. There are a lot available data mining tutorials and samples. Actually, you can use the data mining tutorials and samples to learn how to do typical mining task. Then, data preparation in the mining process is important, because A typical data mining project undergoes several phases, and these phases are described in the detailed gross industry standard process of data mining, or the CRISP-DM. Then after that, exploring tables. No, with the Design Studio, you can explore database schemas and tables, table relationships, table content, or values distribution in your data. So by exploring these database objects, you can select the appropriate data for mining analysis. Then, designing mining flows. A mining flow is a visual representation for a sequence of mining operations and transformation operations. It combines structured query language processing with typical mining tasks such as creating a mining model or scoring new data by using an existing model. In working with mining models in the Design Studio, if you visited the Design Studio, there's a data, you can able to see the Data Source Explorer, and you can explore and visualize mining models. You can also import PPML files into Db2, export mining models from Db2, or copying mining model from one Db2 models or from Db2 database to another Db2 database. Okay, so we need to understand, of course, the Db2, the database 2. So prior to your information management system, there are some database introduced already. IBM has IBM Db2. This will be in IBM. This is a family of data mining products, including the Db2 relational database. So the products features AI-powered capabilities to help you modernize the management of both structured and unstructured data across on-premises and multi-cloud environments actually. So by helping to make your data simple and accessible, the Db2 family positions your business to pursue the value of artificial intelligence. So most of the Db2 family is available on the IBM Cloud Pak for data platform, either as an add-on or an included data source service, making virtually all of your data available across hybrid or multi-cloud environments. It's just not only one cloud, multi-cloud environments to fuel your artificial intelligence applications. You can easily converge your transactional data stores and rapid derive insights through a universal, intelligent querying of data across disparate sources. Cut costs with the multi-modal capability that eliminates the need of data reflection and migration, and enhance agility by running Db2 on cloud vendor. Okay, so I'll just try to look with, actually when it comes to this IBM cloud, multi-cloud, they could able this database can boost operational efficiency, modernize your data architecture, and gain, again as I mentioned, multi-cloud flexibility. So when we say boost operational efficiency, because this IBM Db2 has a built-in artificial intelligence and machine learning, enable query optimization, imagine with query optimization, adapted workload management, and more. When it comes to the modernized your data architecture, integration with IBM Cloud Pak, yung Cloud Pak is PAK, for data brings cloud simplicity and standardization to enterprise workloads. So the ability to operate across multiple vendors is a key factor when choosing a cloud data management provider. So I'll just try to look a video presentation about the IBM Cloud Pak. Since we are data mining, what I wanted to I think we start from from data installation. for you to understand this one. At present, no, actually this will be a, I hope that you could able to, wait lang. Just want to share my screen. Oh, so this will be the way on how we'll be able to install the data pack, now IBM Cloud Pak.
Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how to install IBM's CloudPak for Data. Before we even install CloudPak for Data, we need to ensure that all the prerequisites are in place. That means making sure the virtual machines are provisioned or the infrastructure is provisioned, configure shared persistent storage.
If you wanted to install this IBM Cloud Pak, you need to have this provision hardware, install Red Hat Core OS and OpenShift, configure shared persistent storage, and you need to obtain IBM entitlement key. No?
We support multiple of different storage mechanisms. In my demo, I'm going to use NFS shared storage. And then lastly, you need to ensure that you can obtain and download the IBM entitlement key to get the CloudPak for Data binaries from the container registry. Once you have the prerequisites in place, then it's time to configure your cluster. IBM CloudPak for Data can be much easier to install if you set up some environment variables. Our knowledge center gives you or provides you a script which you can run to set up all the environment variables required for installing CloudPak for Data. You will also then have to ensure that you can configure the pull secret for your OpenShift. This ensures you have access to the repository from where you can get the images for CloudPak for Data. You then create catalog sources. This tells the cluster which version of the packages to download and which versions to use for installing. You can choose to have catalog sources configured to get the latest version of the operators, or you can choose to decide to set it up to a particular version of your CloudPak for Data operators. Optionally, you can change the node setting and kernel parameters. We have got a knowledge center page which shows you for which services what kernel parameters need to be set up. Once you have the prerequisites and you have configured the cluster, it is time to install CloudPak for Data. You start the installation by installing the foundational services or the control plane for CloudPak for Data. You then create operator subscriptions. This tells the cluster which operators are there to be installed and where they need to be installed. Think of operators as a mechanism to manage and maintain the applications that are installed on OpenShift. Optionally, you can also create custom security context constraints. These are used by services such as Db2 and Watson Knowledge Catalog. Then you're ready to install the CloudPak for Data operator, followed by any data and AI service that you wish to install. In my demonstration, I'm going to show you how you can install Watson Studio. The post-installation steps are all optional. You can integrate CloudPak for Data with an identity access management system. You can ensure all the ports are secured. You can configure the web client, and you can change the routes and URL for the CloudPak for Data. Now that we know all the steps involved in installing CloudPak for Data, let's go and look at how you can install CloudPak for Data using NFS Storage, and I'm going to use Watson Studio as a data and AI service on top of CloudPak for Data. You will see two windows on your screen. The window on the left hand side is my command prompt, and I'm going to use this window to fire the installation commands for installing CloudPak for Data. The window on the right hand side is the knowledge center for CloudPak for Data. I'm going to refer to the steps in this knowledge center for installing CloudPak for Data. All my prerequisites are in place, such as provisioning the hardware, installing OpenShift, making sure a shared storage is been provisioned, and I have got the access to the entitlement key required to download relevant packages. Now let's go into the installing section of CloudPak for Data and follow the steps for installing CloudPak for Data. The first step is to set up environment variables. The Knowledge Center will provide a shell script, and I will highly recommend that you use this shell script to set up environment variables. Once you have set up the environment variables, you can then use the commands as it is from the Knowledge Center. Just copy those commands and paste them in the command prompt. The shell script contains variables such as your namespaces or the projects used in your OpenShift. So which projects you will need to create inside your OpenShift cluster. It also has parameters for the operator installation type, whether it's your automatic install or whether it's a manual install. It also has the license, whether it's an enterprise license or a standard license, and it also has got IBM entitlement key. So the key that you will get from my IBM ID, you can enter that key here so that it's all set up inside the environment variables. And then lastly, you do need some folders created on your server where the software and the case packages will be downloaded. Now I already have set up the script properly on my cluster. What I will do now is use the source command to source the script and set the environment variables. Let's check whether I can view one of the environment variable and see if that environment variable is properly set up. So OCP underscore URL should give me the URL for my OpenShift cluster. And that URL seems to be a correct URL. So we have done setting up the variables. Now the next step will be to go into the pre-installation task. And with the pre-installation task, I would like to point out to the shared storage. It's already been configured, but let's look at what storage class we have in this cluster. And we can find that using the command oc get sc. This will return the storage class that we have for this cluster. Managed -NFS is the storage class that we will need to use for subsequent commands for installing CloudPak for Data. Now the next step is setting up the OpenShift projects. And for setting up the projects, depending on what type of installation you're doing, whether you're doing an express install or whether you're doing a specialized install, you will either have 2 OpenShift projects or more than 2. Because we are doing an express install, we are going to create 2 projects. The first one is the project for all the common operators for the IBM Common Services. So we'll create a project IBM Common Services, or the namespace IBM Common Services, and use that for all the common services operators. We don't have to create the next project, so we'll skip that project because we are doing the express install. We'll create now the project for all the operators for CloudPak for Data, and we'll call that cpd-instance. So create that project has been now created. So those are the 2 projects you really require, and these 2 projects are based on my installation type, and I'm going to use the express install for this particular demonstration. The next is to create operator groups for my CloudPak for Data Foundation services. I'll be using the command in express install to create those groups. And just on that, the difference between express install and special install is express install is used only when you're installing one instance of Cloud Pak for data. If you're installing multiple Cloud Paks, or if you're installing more than 2 instances of Cloud Paks, then you'll go and use the specialized installation steps for installing that Cloud Pak. So let's copy this command for creating operator groups and then paste it in my command prompt. So now my operator has been created. I can now go to the next step, which is of obtaining the IBM entitlement key. I've already obtained that key. I've already set that in my environment variable, and it's already been sourced using the shell script. But this is the link to get the entitlement key from my IBM. The next is the step to mirror any images if you're using private container registry, but in this demo we are not. We are going to use the IBM entitlement registry. So we'll skip this step and we'll go to the next step, which is to really configure your cluster to pull the images. Now in this step, what we are going to do is we are going to download the pool secret that already is there in the OpenShift cluster, and then configure that secret by adding the secret for the Cloud Pak for data packages, and then configure the cluster to use that updated pool secret. So we'll use this global image pool secret command. The first step is to get the pool secret, and before we can do that, let's look at some of the variables, whether we have set it properly again, just to confirm. So we'll look at the server. If the server is correct based on the script that we have, yep, that's the correct server. The user is always CP, so we'll check whether it returns a CP user. And the third one obviously is entitlement key, and I'm not going to echo that because that's my entitlement key, but you may go and echo your entitlement key when you do the install. The next step is creating some temporary folders. I'm going to create the temp folder and the work folder inside my home directory so that I can download the pool secret. Okay, so that's done. So let's go and grab the pool secret from my current OpenShift cluster. Okay, so the OC get secret command will download the pool secret from my OpenShift cluster into that work underscore root folder. Okay, let me check if I can find that file. It's in the work folder inside temp. So that global pool secret.cfg is the file where all the secrets for OpenShift have been downloaded. What we now need to do is add a new secret to that folder, and that's this entitlement keys that we are going to add. So we'll use the environment variables to add the secret. So that's been saved into this file, and now we'll update the OpenShift with the new credentials that we have just added into the pool secret. So that's done. So my OpenShift now understands how to grab the case files and any other files required for installing Cloud Pak for data using that secret. So let's now create catalog sources. For creating catalog sources, what we are going to do is we are going to use a specific version of images and not the latest versions. So you can either use the latest versions to grab the images, or you can say I want a specific version for each of the image. So in this demonstration, I'm going to pull a specific version of a image. Now this again, the pulling of the image is from the IBM entitled registry. So we'll use that to pull all the images. And what it does is it will create the case packages and download those case packages onto your cluster. You'll need some libraries to for installing Cloud Pak for data, such as Python 3. You'll need PyYAML and ArcParse. So that's again all that is already been pre-configured on my cluster. And then for downloading the case packages, you also need the CLI utility for IBM Cloud Paks, which is CloudCTL. So we'll install that utility first. And to install that utility, you'll have to go to the CloudCTL software link and download that particular library from that link. I am on Linux environment, so I'm going to download the CloudCTL package for Linux. So I can copy the link for this particular zip file for Linux, and then I will do a wget to get the particular package onto my Linux cluster. Okay, so that's all done. Now I can unzip this particular tar file and make sure I've got CloudCTL command ready to fire up. I'll move this now into user local bin folder. Oh, I don't have permission, just making sure that sudo is added to that command. And there you go. Let's see whether I can see. Yep, that's the help command for CloudCTL. So that's all been done properly. So now I can start downloading the case packages for different services. So the first one is to download the case package for IBM Cloud Pak for data. I'll use this command to download the package, and we are looking at specific versions of that package, and this version is the latest version that is available. Yep, so it's downloading and extracting the case package into the local folders. Once it's done, I can check if the foundational package can be downloaded. So I'm going to download the foundational packages. And then if you want to install scheduling service, you can download that package, but I'm not going to install it for this demo. So I'm going to skip that scheduling service. We'll go to the downloading of case package for the data in AI service. In our instance, I'm going to install IBM Watson Studio. So let's download the case package for Watson Studio. So that's all done now. So now that the case packages are there in my local directory, we can now create the catalog sources for those particular objects that we have downloaded. And really the catalog source just tells what version you're going to download. It ensures that the operators, when they get created, they have access to the correct libraries and packages for that particular instance of the operators. So let's go and check if there is already a catalog source, and there is no catalog source for open cloud operators. So I'm going to now go and create a catalog source. Okay, so that's the catalog source for foundational services. Check whether it's been created. So it needs to go from connecting to ready. Once it's created, it will be ready. Okay, that's all done. So next step is to create a catalog source for scheduling service. We are not going to install that, so we'll skip this step. We'll go into creating a catalog source for IBM Cloud Pak for data. Okay, we'll check the status for IBM Cloud Pak for data. Now create a catalog source for IBM Watson Studio. And again, we'll check whether the catalog source is all ready to go or not. So the next step is really installing the CloudPak for data foundational services. So we'll go and check the foundational services and see how we can install the CloudPak for data foundational services. It's a prerequisite before we can go ahead to installing the CloudPak for data operator. And we are going to pull specific versions of the images. So we'll use this specific version. The operator has been created. Now we can verify whether the operator has been created or not. So this will show you different assets. And we need to have those three assets. So that's common services operator, namespace, scope operator, and deployment lifecycle manager operator. So all those are successful. We'll check if any the customs resource definitions were created. So that's been created. Check for foundational services API resources, if those are available or not. Those are all available. And then you can install the license service for CloudPak for data. So we'll use this command to install the operand for license service. We'll verify if it's all created properly. It needs to be a status of running. Yep, that's good. And we'll check if the operator has been installed for the licensing service. And that's running. So that's all done. So now that we have the foundational services installed, we can now go to the next step, which is creating operator subscriptions. So we are going to skip the first step, which is scheduling service, because we are not installing scheduling service. By the way, scheduling service is for creating, managing the quotas on your and monitoring the quotas on your cluster. So we'll create the operator subscription. So we are checking if we have got the CPD operator installed and running. So that's all there. We'll check if custom service version is ready to go. So our next step is to create the operator subscription for Watson Studio. So we'll go and get the command for Watson Studio and install that. Yep, so it's created. We'll check whether it's successful or not. So it needs to return the subscription. Yep, so that's all done. We'll check if cluster service version is ready to go. So it needs to come up saying it's installed. Yep. And we'll check if the operator is ready to go. Needs to come up with a number 1. Yep, so that's all good. So that's really creating operator subscriptions. The next step is to set up any SCCs, that is security context constraints. We are not installing Watson Knowledge Catalog or Db2, so we can skip that step. Changing required node settings, again, that's not required for Watson Studio, so we are going to skip that step too. We are not setting up the scheduling service, so that next step is also we are going to skip up. So we'll now go into installing CloudPak for Data operator. We'll use the express install. We'll create a custom resource to install CloudPak for Data now. You'll have to change the manage NFS storage to manage underscore NFS, because that's the storage class we are using for CloudPak for Data. So I'll change here to manage -NFS. Yep, so that's been created. And we'll now verify the installation. Now that just sets the project, but we are already in that project. So yeah, so that's not going to change anything. Let's run this status command. So that needs to be completed, and once that's completed, you'll have the URL for CloudPak for it, and you can log in into the URL. You can get the admin password and check whether it's all good. That's completed. Let's look at the URL. We'll get the URL for CloudPak for Data. So that's the URL. It's in the format https:// and that name of the host. And then let's get the initial password for admin user. We'll now check if we can log in to CloudPak for Data. We'll use our desktop to log in. So that's the URL that we had for CloudPak for Data. And then we'll check whether we can use the admin user and password to log in. There you go. You're now into CloudPak for Data. That's been installed. So now that's installed, we can now go into installing of Watson Studio. So let's go into the services section, and inside that, in AI services in Watson Studio, we'll go and install Watson Studio. Again, you'll have to change the commands to include the correct NFS storage class. So we'll change that storage class. We'll change the licensing to enterprise, and then make sure the project name is correct. So we'll do those changes and then use the correct command to paste to create the custom resource. So that's been created. Let's look at the status. Yep, so that's all completed. So let's see whether we can see Watson Studio in our CloudPak for data. Under the services section, it should show the status as enabled. Yep, so you can see here that the status has been enabled. And you can also go into projects, and you can see that you are now able to create a analytics project. So this completes your installation, configuring the cluster, then installing CloudPak for data, and installing Watson service. We are not going to do optional post-installation service configurations, but if you want, you can follow the Knowledge Center link to do those post-installation tasks. I hope you have found this video useful, and now you can install CloudPak for data. If you have any questions, please do post those questions in my YouTube channel. Until next time, please be safe and take care.
Okay, so if you still remember using those commands, no, as a while ago, especially if you are familiar with Linux, no, and most commonly those command will be used, of course, installing the database CloudPak, no, and if you wanted to avail that IBM pack, no, so all the instruction is available on their website. So it's too easy for you to follow. Okay.